it's Liol, Love in Other Languages, Beth with you here in LA, and you'll know their music from TV shows like Private Practice and Grey's Anatomy from Until June. Josh Ballard, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
I appreciate it.
I just mentioned Private Practice and Grey's Anatomy. What was it like when you found out that your music was going to be on such big TV shows like that?
Well, it was kind of surreal because I was actually in Hong Kong when we got the phone call. Shanghai, because we were doing a tour in Asia, and my manager called me from the lobby and said, "We just heard from your label, and you guys are getting the episode of Grey's Anatomy." And years ago, I'd say probably 3 or 4 years ago, it was like the coup de grace. That was like, if you got Grey's Anatomy, it doesn't necessarily mean that anymore, but it was still very exciting to be on such a popular television show. Anytime your music is played on TV, it's fun to listen to.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, your music's done pretty well over the years. What I've done is the single that most Aussies would be familiar with, #1 in Greece. It's a bit random.
Well, actually, it was another song. It was Sleepless.
Oh,
that was #1 in Greece, and that one was very funny. Our music just happened to get picked up by the division of Sony in Europe that had released it for Finland, Norway, and Greece, and we did pretty well in Sweden. And we just got that phone call and said, "Hey, your song's climbing the charts," and we just kept watching it climb, and before you know it, it's #1.
What does it feel like?
I think it's exciting, and it's kind of this dichotomy between excitement and frustration, because in your own country you're struggling to get the word out and for people to get your music, and then you have 3 or 4 countries so far away from you that do get it and do love it, and it's kind of exciting. I mean, I guess if you have a career and it's overseas, there's nothing to complain about, but for us it's been interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, I bet. Now, your brother is in the band with you as well. Is there ever any sibling rivalry, or?
I mean, we've been playing in bands our whole lives. We've been together probably since I was 15, making music, and I always feel bad for Daniel, our drummer, the third man, who has to deal with a little bit of our attitudes from time to time. But that's just dealing with a sibling, somebody that you know so well. But we're usually pretty good.
Yeah. Now, Until June, basically, as a band, you guys have existed for going on 9 years now, 2001, but you weren't really signed, didn't really get your music out to the masses, I guess, until the last few years. How did you manage that frustration of being in a band, but just pushing through until you kind of got signed, I guess?
Well, yeah, I guess when people ask us this question, we always avoid the 9-year plan. We always say no, and it actually took us, we were really a band in 2005, but you're right. I mean, we had been going at it since 2001. I don't really know. I heard a guy tell me just keep showing up and eventually something will happen. Most bands quit right at that bottom of that J curve, and they never get to experience success. And I think we just happen to keep going. It's kind of funny, as a musician, you go your whole life making music, and you might have great people skills, or you might have great character and that sort of thing, but you don't really have any professional skills, because we've been doing music so long, it's all we know, and so I guess you were kind of forced to pursue it, but
you can't do anything else.
Can't do anything else.
So in your music, you hit some pretty high notes from what I've heard. Have there ever been any shows where you've just missed it, or any embarrassing moments?
No, absolutely. It's actually easier for me to sing high than low. I usually don't have issues with falsetto in any of those high notes, but I did have. I've had a few rough shows. When you get right up at the top and everything just shatters. I'm just kind of what?
Oh man, those moments must be hilarious.
They were good.
Now, I want to know when you're coming to Australia.
That's a good question. I would love to tell you I know. Unfortunately, I don't. But hopefully this year, maybe next year. I don't know. I mean, I think we've been close, but we haven't apparently. I said we had been to Asia, and that was close enough, and she said not even close. My geography's a little off. So.
Just a little bit, but that's okay.
9 hours. 9 hours. It's not too bad.
Well, it's closer than here, I suppose. Now, what's next for you guys? You mentioned just before that you just wrapped up a new album. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
We did. After our 2007 release, which I don't know if it released in Australia in 2007, maybe it was 2008, but we went into the studio. We released a little EP that you can get on iTunes called Sound of Defeat, and one of those songs was actually on Grey's Anatomy, and we had released that last year. But really over the last 2 years, we've been kind of composing a collection of songs and reworking them. About 6 months ago, we went in and we scrapped a handful of them and re-recorded them. And we finally finished about a week and a half ago. So we're planning on releasing the record probably by the end of the summer, early fall. So.
Yeah, can you tell us about any of the songs?
Well, the first record was really a record that we had written over the course of about 5 or 6 years. And so a lot of the songwriting is youthful and immature in that sort of sense. But this record is kind of more about being older and kind of dealing with failure and trying to figure out what your life is about and what you're trying to do with life. And love's kind of failed a few times, but at the same time it's not hopeless, and you're trying to... So it's like a collection of ideas of just kind of like a confusing 30-year-old guy. And that's more or less kind of what the record's about. Great.
Well, I'm really looking forward to hearing it. The name of the album?
We don't have a name yet.
Okay, name to be decided. Hey, Josh, thank you so much for having a chat with us this morning. It's liol.com.au. Check us out.